One of the things that continues to impress me about my Pilot 26% YAK 54 is the quality of the construction, the design, and the finish of the assembly. And while they had the laser work and even marked the CG for you. I'm a firm believer in the never too much power theory, so I added this 50cc motor to a 35cc airplane. And I was smart enough to pay the $49 for this standoff kit that made installation of this motor simple. The pair of 6S 5000 mAh battery packs did fit in a bay meant for the fuel tank, but the wing spar tube wouldn't let me move them backwards. I used a pair of 7.4 volt 2700 mAh packs to run the receiver and servos and mounted them at the rear of the canopy opening. That did help the CG, but it wasn't enough, and we'd have to add 2.5 ounces of lead to the tail wheel bracket to get it to act right. But because this thing has so much power, carrying that extra lead around didn't hurt the performance at all. And while we're back here, notice the true turnbuckle linkage, the big servo arms that come with this kit, and the servo holes that actually fit the servos they called for. Just why other kit manufacturers don't supply turnbuckle linkages like this is a mystery to me. And we use a steel cable pull-pull system on a rudder that's very easy to set up. The one-piece carbon fiber landing gear is very tough. Plus it hooks the aluminum L brackets inside the fuselage to spread out the force. One of the things I like about the YAK is these half wheel pants. And you can see where I super glued the tires to the wheels because I forgot to grease them at first and the tires were spinning on the aluminum wheels. Because of using batteries in this plane, I needed a quicker way to open the canopy, so I added a couple of slider locks. And here you can see the rather stout carbon fiber wing tube. They know this plane's going to take a beating in the air. The wings have carbon fiber indexing pins at the leading and trailing edges and mount with a plastic bolt, as many do. At 26%, this fuselage is actually big enough for me to get my hands in there to put the wing bolts in. And because of the batteries, I'm very lucky that this bolt is located behind the spar and not in front of it. Of course, 26% does have some liabilities when you don't have a trailer, but I will have a trailer before long. This is my Kia Sportage, and you can see I decided to bring along my 60-inch Extreme Flight Edge 540 as well. Since we're in kind of uncharted territory here with this motor and plane combination, I've been trying different props. A 22.8 has about a half an inch of clearance from the ground, but it seems to fly fine on a 21.8 or a 2012. All of the props are from XOR. I lucked out in that we had a pretty decent day for the Maiden Flight, and that's what you're going to see here. I can say that this is one plane that I wasn't worried about not having enough power to get off the ground cleanly. I was a little concerned that everything lined up so easily when I set the plane up for the first time. But all that worry was for nothing, because it turned out I just gave it some gas, it left the ground, and it needs about 2 clicks of down to get it trimmed out. That was a little under half throttle when it took off. I decided to just roll the power on easy and see what it did, and it left the ground quick. I was pleasantly surprised at how easily the YAK flies. I'm using what looked to me to be about medium rates on all the control surfaces and responds to everything cleanly. I had planned on just shooting an approach to see how it handled at lower speeds, but it came in so nice I decided to set it down. The only problem here is that I was holding too much elevator because of the nose weight, but I would fix that before I brought it out again. The rest of the Maiden Flight was just used to check handling, and this is the final landing, and you can see with a little bit of speed it settles in real nice. This is flight number 2, and I decided to try elevator and see how it handled that. I think that wing rocking is part me and part because I got zero throttle here. I wanted to see how it would do all on its own. I made several passes, going a little slower each time, and the YAK was very stable in the air. And here I brought it around and just kicked in some rudder and found out that this thing flies knife edge very easily. I'm still about half throttle here. The wind kicked up quite a bit on that first day, and this is the last landing. And it shows that the YAK, if you're paying attention, handles wind just fine. And at 12.5 pounds, it really doesn't want to stop on a dime either. This is day 2, and you can see that I'm getting more comfortable with the YAK. I decided to go ahead and snap it on takeoff. It was a little slow, but it did it fine. And here's where we found out that vertical just keeps on going. It was accelerating going up. So naturally, after the cameraman found the plane again, we had to try that vertical one more time. I have no idea how long it'll pull straight up like that, but I was quitting when it was getting hard to see. And here's one of the first wide open passes. And it's not afraid to go fast either, so when in doubt, point it straight up. This flight is where I really scared myself the first time. Just pulled it up, went straight up vertical, and then we went for a knife edge spin. Keep in mind, this is about half throttle. It's a lot louder in person, and believe me, whenever I do that at the field, everybody's looking up because they expect this thing to come apart. Oh yeah, and it does flat spins pretty nice too, but they're not nearly as dramatic as that knife edge spin. This is day 3, and you can hear in the microphone that it's just flat windy, but I wanted to see what the YAK could do, and it flies just fine in the wind. It was a little harder to get into the knife edge spin, but once it got into it, it did its stuff again. You can see here that there's a lot of wind up high there, and it's elongating the flat spin. And wind or not, give it full power, and it comes by faster than the cameraman can keep up with. I'm sorry about all the vertical stuff. I just can't help myself when I'm flying this thing. And I found out that even in the wind, the YAK is very stable inverted. It doesn't need a lot of speed to have nice, clean, crisp controls. I have a hard time taking off without doing a snap roll, but the YAK gets a lot of attention when they do it because they can hear the thing buzz when it cranks around. This is the first attempt at a rolling circle with the YAK, and it's about third throttle, but all the controls have a lot of authority. Here I was doing an elevator again, and I got caught just watching the airplane and not how high it was or how fast it was sinking. You see the trees here about the same time I did. Can you tell that I'm getting more comfortable with the controls on the YAK? It really is stable, inverted, even at lower speeds. The sound the YAK makes when I do these spins scares me, but I just keep doing it because it looks cool in the air. And there you have it, my 26% electrified YAK. I'm very happy with how it flies. We're working on getting the right size prop on it, but until then I'm just having fun with it and getting used to what it'll do. Since shooting this video, I had the canopy get ejected once during a knife edge spin, and it got dinged up, but we'll get another one and it goes back to flying.